Greetings, salutations, and good now. Welcome back to the channel, guys. My name is Kevis Major, doing it major. And in this video, we're going to be attempting to do our Cancer season forecast. When I was preparing to do this video, I was completely overwhelmed just because of all of the powerful and potent placement aspects and alignments that are going to be happening for this Cancer season. Currently, we do have some obstacles fighting against us. We are outdoors, it's a bit windy, and we are, experiencing a beautiful sunset. We're in a nice location here at the Wingfield Estate. It's a nice time as well while the sun is setting, just to talk about, Gemini season being put to rest, or Gemini setting and Cancer rising, or the sun moving into Cancer rather. We're going to try to cover as much as possible as long as we have light, and so we're going to be here for a good time, not a long time. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel to stay up to the time with all of the latest astrological happenings. Smash the like button, and also make sure you drop a comment down below. Comment ready if you're ready for this Cancer season, and if not, well, you want to watch the entirety of this video just to make sure that you have enough knowledge or ammunition to make sure you're on the right side of the energies. All right, so let's start with Cancer. All right, so the Cancer zodiac sign is the fourth sign in our horoscope or in the zodiac wheel. Cancer gets all of its power, its traits, its characteristics from the fourth house. So we know that the space is most important, and the things that derive in the space are secondhand. And so the Cancer zodiac was developed out of the fourth house. Now the fourth house deals with the private life. It deals with the people, places, things, circumstances, situations, and activities that make you feel most comfortable, that make you feel safe, protected, seen, heard, ultimately nurtured, right? Giving you the love, the care, the support that enables you to grow and to thrive. Now, all of this happens behind closed doors. Not everyone knows what is happening, but it is happening. So it's a sort of unseen realm. And so when the sun slides in here, it illuminates our private life, or things that are protected, especially the people, places, things, circumstances, and situations, like we discussed, that make you feel most safe, protected, and nurtured. We know that Cancer cardinal water initiates or creates emotional stability. And so they may not have all of the material, tangible things of this world. However, they have a peace of mind, a peace of heart, and a whole soul, right? Not just a piece. Once they, can do what they're meant to do, which is, create that emotional safe haven for themselves and others. So during this Cancer season, the sun is going to be sliding into the moon's house, because we know that the moon rules Cancer, making Cancer a very magical sign. We know that the moon's lunation cycle is 28 days, and so the Cancer sign has 28 facets or phases or faces. That's a different video that we're probably going to have to dive into, maybe a different kind of worms, because there's also shadow side of it. And so we know that the Cancers are ruled by the moon, and so they could be quite emotional or quite sensitive to the emotions of other people. When it comes to this Cancer season, we already had Mercury in Cancer warming it up, and Jupiter has been in Cancer for quite some time doing his task. And so this Cancer season, the sun is going to be moving into Cancer, reigniting all of the themes that were already activated per se. things to do with karmic matters, so things that happen in the past and they're still cycling forward. So it's connecting us to memories, things that or deep rooted memories, traumas, and so forth. There's a lot of emotional messages or emotional stuff happening, moving into this Cancer season, or the sun is going to be bringing the spotlight to it. There's family themes or themes surrounding the people that make you feel most comfortable, protected, nurtured, or who should have been playing that role in your life. A strong theme of protection, whether it is protecting tangible things that make you feel comfortable, make you feel protected, or those soft, untangible, your soft spaces. The Cancer zodiac is the sign of the heart, and so it deals with private affairs, private people, places, things that govern your heart space that make you feel safe and protected. And so there's a strong need for emotional safety during this Cancer season. We're going to have some strong influences from Mars. Mars is currently in Taurus, but he's going to be moving into Gemini to disrupt things. Mercury, as we discussed, is in Cancer, but it's going to go retrograde, and so redoing or reanalyzing or reinvestigating certain situations or themes. We're going to be having a beautiful full moon. Jupiter is going to leave Cancer and enter Leo. Mars is going to enter Gemini and conjunct with Uranus. And to end out the entire season, we're going to have a stellium with Sun, Mercury, and the new moon all in Cancer, giving us a bit of an emotional reset. And so the big arc for this Cancer season, we start off emotionally sensitive. We build this mental disruption. There's a reality check with the full moon, because we already know we need to be keeping up with our lunation practices, okay, building up to the full moon. And then we move through, some sudden information or collective awakening, because there's some big things happening with the major planets. We're going to touch on that in a second. And by the time we get into the Leo season, we should be fully protected, right? We should have been fully solidified and foundated and protected when it comes to our private life. And so when we move into Leo season, Jupiter is going to go there and usher us in, or warm up the dance per se. We're going to be able to move a lot of the things that happen behind closed doors to the grand stage of Leo. So again, the Cancer season is saying to protect the roots while the sky is changing. Okay, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening, and so there's a strong emphasis of protecting the things that we've already built that give us that sense of security, safety, and that space where we feel nurtured, right? Either it's an emotional space, all the way down to a physical space, and the people, things, circumstances, activities thereof. All right, so a quick warning, because we are still preparing for this Cancer season, and I've made a few videos about this, and so we already discussed heavily that we don't want to be bringing in too much drama or argument, mixed messages, rumors, debates, or nervous energy from the Gemini season into the Cancer season. I know that life throws us curveballs, and we need to try to balance as much as possible. So as much as possible, try not to bring too much unresolved issues from Gemini into Cancer. It's not going to be good, because this season is where the home space really is connected or embodied in your body as well. We have Chiron moving into Taurus. Taurus talks about the body, and so there's a strong emphasis on things entering the body and becoming permanent. We know that traumas and those major events that happen to us could attach itself in the body and cause us dis-ease. And so there's a heavy emphasis again on protecting what we've built, protecting your foundation, protecting your roots, your ancestry, knowing where you come from to know where you're going. And unfortunately, guys, if you're on the wrong side of the energy, if you have a shaky foundation, well, all of that may be exposed, most likely is going to be exposed during this Cancer season. Okay, so again, Cancer is cardinal water, which means active. Okay, Cancers are not just emotional, but there are emotions in motion. And so just imagine the tide, that could change the shoreline, or, over time turn, you know, hard rocks into smooth, well-rounded stone. It's water that does something. There's a big protective energy as well, and so it's the womb that protects before life is even seen. It's that shell that covers the soft tenderness inside, ruled by the moon. So this season, is going to be quite moody, and we need to be emotionally safe. All right, there's a lot of things on the table. It's going to be quite layered because we have what's happening, with the inner planets, but the outer planets, golly, they have their own story. We're talking about Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto. They're going to be forming a very rare, once in a lifetime minor grand trine, which is going to be opening up some future facing shifts, right? Around the mind, how we think, technology, groups, systems, and just our spiritual direction as we try to figure it all out. So, again, can we protect our foundation, our emotional foundation, while the messages, while the future seems chaotic or disrupted? I think we still have light, so we're going to push through. I have a lot of notes, and I don't even know when I'm going to get the opportunity to make another video. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day. Sunday is Father's Day, which initiates, the summertime, Cancer season. And so it's just go, 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 go. And so week one, the 21st up until the 27th, we start with Sun entering Cancer. I think we did a good enough job to talk about the Cancer energy, getting all of its traits from the fourth house, private life, things that happen behind closed doors. And so while the sun is there, it brings light to, or brings awareness to things that happen, behind closed doors, amongst the people, places, and stuff that make you feel comfortable. It's all also an initiating sign. And so Cancers are going to make a move, right? They're going to initiate or create that emotional stability if it's not there. And if it's there, well, they add to it. Okay, they do things to add on to the emotional stability that's already there. So again, strong themes of, emotional safety and all of that. Those emotional themes, we already discussed that. Mercury and Jupiter were there. Jupiter is going to be finishing up its expansion of, your home, your family, the people, places, things, circumstances that make you feel protected. And so Jupiter is going to be dropping a few more blessings before he leaves Cancer. So we got to make sure that we're positioning ourselves. We know that Jupiter is exalted here. So Jupiter has been teaching us emotional wisdom, what makes us feel safe, what's familiar, what supports our growth, what feeds us spiritually, what protects us, and also the things that, are the opposite, right? And it's been bringing expansion. And so hopefully, if you've been on the right side of the energy, you've been experiencing that and could continue to experience that while Jupiter, finishes up his work in Cancer. So week one is a bit of a soft opening, but it is also loading up what's coming in week two. All right, so make sure that you're staying on the right side of the energies. Make sure that you're checking the emotional temperature, making sure nothing gets too crazy. Make sure we're handling any conversations that are sitting in the room. Make sure, we're just balancing out the family stuff and not carrying too much, bad energy into the coming weeks. All right, so we need to be preparing for this emotional doorway, right? Or this emotional passage that we're going to be going through. Because in week 2, the pressure is going to be building. Mars enters Gemini, Mercury goes retrograde, we got the full moon, Jupiter goes fully into Leo, and then Mars is going to be conjuncting Uranus. And so this is going to be a heavy week. This is going to be a load week. This sort of signals the peak of what's to be expected in the Cancer season. So we know Mars is quite aggressive. Mars brings the heat. Mars brings the passion. Mars is ready to fight for the things that we are most passionate about. And so when Mars goes into Gemini, bringing in all of the influence from the third house that deals with communicating, thinking, and the wisdom that we get from all of the exchange and how we could apply it. So Mars is going to heat up the words, the messages, the communication. Mars wants to have those experiences quickly, no fluff, no long talking. Mars wants to speed things up in Gemini, and Gemini is an air sign that also loves to speed things up. And so people are going to be speaking quickly, reacting quickly, sending messages before they think, arguing over details, information, tone, interpretation. Mars in Gemini could go haywire. However, it's good for, writing, recording, teaching, moving around, making content, fast thinking. But the shadow side of it is quite forceful, quite chaotic, and quite scattered. So we need to look out for Mars entering Gemini. And depending on what sign you have it in, then you're going to know what area of life is going to be most affected. And don't worry, we're going to make a video about that in days to come. Then on the 29th, Mercury starts going retrograde in Cancer. Retrograde, we are always redoing, reanalyzing, reassessing that big RE energy, redoing things. And so a heavy emphasis of going over maybe conversations or going over situations, maybe misunderstandings in the private life, things that we have to rehash or recalibrate, or let's rethink this, or have this conversation again. And so what stories or what narratives are we still carrying? What things are happening over and over again, almost like karma? What memories are still shaping our actions, inactions, and also reactions? What emotional conversations do we really need to revisit and finally put to bed? Any patterns, family patterns, patterns around people, places, things, circumstances that make you feel comfortable, protected, just checking out those patterns and seeing, if we didn't do anything, maybe this is the time for us to cross the I's and dot the T's during this retrograde. Okay, also a lot of things that happened in the Gemini season we're going to be revisiting, rehashing, and so look out for a resurgence of things that possibly happened while we were in the Gemini season. Okay, are you reacting to things that happened in the past, or are you, recalibrating to move forward? On the 29th and the 30th, we're having the full moon on the Cancer Capricorn axis. Cancer is the home space. You want to feel comfortable in your private space. However, Capricorn is the world, how you're seen in the public. So Cancer is private life, Capricorn is public responsibilities, Cancer is emotional safety, and Capricorn is your duties, responsibilities, your structure, your work, and the consequences of not holding up your responsibilities. And so this full moon is a reality check, and we need to be checking the moon as it, goes into that waxing state, right? So we could be planting the right seeds. This is going to be bringing up themes of home life versus work, family versus your responsibility, emotions versus your duty, care, versus, having boundaries and restrictions, emotional versus logical, softness versus discipline. And we know that the rule moon's Cancer, but this full moon is going to be in Capricorn, and so that's the opposite of Cancer. And so we might be feeling a bit, you know pressured, serious, feeling like there's a push and pull, this probably might be one of the more pressure points again, or a low, but it's not bad. Once you've been planting the right seeds, then during this full moon or after the full moon, you should be looking like someone who has something to stand on, someone who has emotional stability and who could take care of their duties, responsibilities, and obligations sufficiently without looking like they're outweighed by the world, right, or burdened down. And so we're going to be trying to be planting those seeds, right? Making sure that we take care of everything in our private life with the family, the things behind closed doors, the things that make us feel comfortable, and making sure that we're not too reliant, right, on things that are not of good foundating, if that makes sense. So if they remove, it looks like we're exposed or completely vulnerable, which we all have that possibility, right? Like we all have those people, places, things, circumstances that we depend on for our emotional stability. And so we need to be protecting those things because our emotional stability depends on it. Better believe it. And so the full moon, we look forward to being on the right side of the energies. On the 30th, Jupiter is going to be moving into Leo. We're relishing this because in some way, Jupiter is exalted in Cancer, but does have a certain level of power and authority in Leo. And so this really changed the theme. We know that Jupiter has been doing some great work in Cancer, bringing expansion and good luck and fortune to some when it comes to, that Cancerian energy. And now it's time to move all of that growth that we've been experiencing in the private life to the grand stage of Leo. Leo deals with, what's visible, what could be seen in the world, the things that we could enjoy from the world, and how could we be an active part of, what people enjoy from the world. And so it's all about sharing and expression and confidence and performance and putting things out into the public. Whereas Cancer protects the heart space, Leo wants to express it, right? And so we're going to be having those influences. We don't need to rush into it, however, because Jupiter is going to be, making a whole, it's going to take a whole year for him in Leo. So it's going to take, a few days to fully transition, a few weeks maybe, to get about 3, 4, 5 degrees when he's fully into the Leo sign. However, that's going to be the foundation for what's to come when it comes to expansion that can be seen. All right. So that week with the full moon, kind of shows us that if we're emotionally weak, or if our emotional foundations, the people, places, things, circumstances, situations that make us feel comfortable, safe, protected, with the ability to grow, if they are weak, then the Leo visibility is going to expose all of that. You know what I'm saying? Expose all of those insecurities and the chinks in the armor. Cancer season is preparing us, is preparing the heart before Leo season puts us on the stage. And so a heavy emphasis of preparation and also protection. On July 4th, happy independence to the USA. Fireworks are going to be going off. Mars conjuncts Uranus in Gemini. No pun intended. Y'all protect y'all self. Mars in Gemini conjuncting Uranus. This is the ignition point because Mars is heat, Uranus is lightning. Gemini deals with communicating messages, experiences that bring knowledge, so words, information, media, technology, interacting with people in a close vicinity or in a local geographical location, and anything that stimulates your nervous system. So the Mars conjunction with Uranus, I mean, it's just going to be shocking, right? To say the least, when it comes to just how we're going to receive the information. Shocking information, something unexpected or technical, something bringing disruptions, breakdowns, meltdowns, impulsive things. I mean, it just signals decisions or messages that are coming through quickly. So high voltage energy, which could be either genius, chaotic, liberating, or oppressing. And so the key line is Mars, when it conjuncts Uranus, is lightening up our mind. However, the Cancer season makes the body and the home, or it's supposed to make the body and the home feel safe. However, there may be a bit of shock to the body and the system and the home, and I'm saying with those planets, I won't tell no lie. So we need to look out for that. We still have some light. Okay, let's keep pushing. Week 3, this is the 5th to the 11th. This is the aftershock of, Mars conjuncting Uranus. The moon is going to be in Pisces or around Aries around this time. And around this period from the 4th to the 11th is when we really start to see the outer planets making this rare alignment. Okay? Uranus in Gemini, Uranus in Gemini, Neptune is in Aries retrograde, and Pluto is retrograde in Aquarius, and they're all, joining forces, which is something that we're not going to experience in this lifetime again. And so Neptune retrograde in Aries is like breaking down or dissolving things surrounding our identity, courage, ego, how we create new ways of feeling about the world that we're in. Pluto in Aquarius is transforming or taking power and control over group systems, how we interact with technology and the collective future. And so everything that's happening is not only affecting us personally, but it's going to be affecting the outer world, right? And so the world is going to be dealing with a lot of new ideas, systems, identities, technologies, movements, ideologies, patterns, new ways of thinking, weapons. Did I say technology? But the Cancer season is going to make it sort of personal for us, okay? Because while the future is breaking or breaking through, people still got to go home. People still got to go home to their family. And so you still have a body, you still have a family, you still have memories, you still have people, places, things, circumstances that make you feel safe. And so as the whole world is crumbling or evolving, right? What future are you trying to either foundate or push forward, right? If you're still with me, drop a like on the video as we try to, make ourselves down to the conclusion. All right. We also have an ingress of Venus into Virgo. Venus doesn't necessarily love to be here in Virgo. However, this is bringing a bit of practicality when it comes to how we attract beautiful people, places, things, circumstances, and situations. And so Venus in Virgo is asking love, or asking us, how could we attract practically? How could we be useful? How could we be a bit more organized, meticulous, and also healthy, right? It deals with our routines altogether. And so it's not just about love, but it's about, loving self. How do you do that in a practical way? How do you detail out your love language when it comes to loving yourself and others? And how could you improve your love life? We need to be quite careful because Cancer season is sensitive. Venus in Virgo could make us quite critical. We know that Virgos are one of the more meticulous signs. So when it comes to details and, just the little things that make or break, well, Venus in Cancer could be the one that is fine-tuned to all of those small details. And so do not turn care or concern into correction. Sometimes people do not need to be fixed, they just need to be understood. All right, July 12th until the 18th, that's when we're going to be having the new moon. So as the moon wanes, we gain. So again, a double emphasis of protecting the things that we would have been receiving or working on during the full moon. And in the new moon, well, things could turn a bit inward, because new moon, new mood, new moon, new mode, a new emotion, a new way of reacting and responding to the world. We also have Mercury retrograde there. And so the retrograde with Mercury, just bringing back or resurfacing themes. You might be having some realizations when it comes to people, places, things, circumstances that make you feel more safe and comfortable, the things surrounding your private life. And so if there's any patterns that you want to break, any new things that you want to start, so let's put it like this: it's a time to break generational curses and to set new generational standards. So there's a bunch of questions that we could ask ourselves for this particular alignment, because this is where our mind, Mercury, and our memory, Moon, meet, and we get to play out that with the Sun as a physical representation of what's happening internally. And so, um, you know, finally understanding emotional patterns, misunderstandings that may have hurt us, stories that we would have been repeating, things to do with your karma. This could be a good time to break um, some bad karma and to plant new seeds of going into the world with new ways of initiating emotional stability from a godly perspective. And I'm saying from a godly perspective. All right, so new roots planted, um, new seeds to be planted. Sorry, new seeds to be planted, and so we're going to be having to prepare the soil before the new moon. All right. So when it comes to the new moon, we're gonna have to be setting certain intentions. We're gonna do a separate video about that. But again, themes around the Cancer energy, the fourth house energy, home, family, healing, rest, emotional themes, ancestry, roots, knowing where you came from, knowing what keeps you protected and safe and gives you that sense of who you are and allows you to grow. So after the noise, sorry about that. After the noise of the full moon, and the Mars Uranus shock and the Mercury retrograde and all of that, the new moon gives us a brief moment, just a brief moment to reset, because as soon as the new moon starts waxing, then the sun is going to be sliding into Leo. So the final days of the Cancer season, it's going to be winding down with a Mercury retrograde, with Jupiter already warming up Leo, Mars doing this thing in Gemini, and the outer planets forming, this amazing minor trine. So by the time the sun, goes into Leo, our shift should be from private life to presentation, to creativity, to performance, to having confidence and pride, and having a sense of fulfillment emotionally. And so we have something to express because we've been planting the right seeds and being on the right side of the energy in the Cancer season. All right, so once again, even though the Leo season is going to be, right there, I think Mercury is still going to be in Cancer. And so we need to, for the whole season, be protecting our heart spaces. Again, Leo is going to be wanting to express, and later in the Cancer season, we're going to have that strong Leo emphasis as Jupiter moves there. However, we need to be, protecting the house, protecting the womb, protecting our sensitivities, that's the word, sensitivities. All right, so let's just recap. I'm amazed that we have this much light. I think today has to be the day that we experience the most sunlight. It has to be today or tomorrow or the next day, right? One of these days. And so, wow, sun to work. All right, major days to watch. We have June 21st, Sun enters Cancer. On the 28th, Mars enters Gemini. On the 29th of June, Mercury goes stationary and starts its retrograde movement. Also on the 29th, there is the full moon in Capricorn. On the 30th, Jupiter enters Leo. On the 4th of July, Happy Independence Day, Mars conjuncts Uranus in Gemini. On the 7th, we have Neptune going retrograde in Aries, and it also initiates the minor grand trine. There's a trine with Uranus in Gemini and Pluto in Aquarius, and the sextile Neptune retrograde in Aries. We're going to do another video about that. However, we just need to know that it's affecting the outer planets. And so, personally, we may be having a different experience to what's happening worldwide, globally. And so, there's a sort of balance that we need to go through to navigate personal or inner world and outer world experiences. All right, on the 9th, Venus goes into Virgo. On the 12th of July, we're talking about Sun conjunct Mercury and Cancer. On the 14th is the new moon in Cancer, and on July 22nd, Sun moves into Leo. Guys, you see how much things I just listed out? I hope you found this video helpful and useful as I try to forecast or peer into the Cancer season, just to give you guys a sense of what the energies have in store for us. What the starring cast is going to be doing. It's almost like we could read the script and see what's to come in the movie, but without knowing the actual details, right? So we know the plot, but we don't know the specific lines or whatever is going to happen in the motion picture. That is the motion of the planets around. Hey, what's going on? Oh my days. A cat was chasing something. Shit, I might need to cut this out the video. Anyway, major farewell until we meet or greet again. Definitely this Cancer season 2026 is going to be a generational shift. Maybe a shift that we won't see again in lifetimes, right? Starts off slow but picks up, and there's definitely a bang inside of it. And so make sure that you're protecting your peace, make sure you're protecting your foundations, watch your words, review your memory, and set boundaries as you build a comfortable heart home space for yourself during this Cancer season. And don't forget, I already said Cancer is like grandma's house, right? So make sure that you're wiping your feet. I'm sorry, clean your feet before you enter grandma's house. I'm doing some free Cancer reading, so if you're interested in getting a Cancer reading, email me at kevispmajor@gmail.com to get your Cancer season check in. And sorry, until we meet or greet again, doing it major.